Welcome, my name is Thor Blustad, I'm the game director for Hitman Absolution, and beside me I have Travis Barber from the community team at IO Interactive. And we are having a look at Contracts mode this time, which is the new online mode for Hitman Absolution. Contracts mode was inspired by the way that the community was using the old games in the Hitman franchise to create kind of new alternative hits on characters within the game. So we were using that as a starting point for actually creating what we call contracts, which is basically asking the simple question of what would happen if any character within the game could be a target, and we kind of took it from there.
Hey, Pisano, find the lights.
This section of the game takes place in a dark and rainy Chicago, where Agent 47 is on the run from the Chicago PD.
One of the things we got a lot of feedback on after the first time showing this level was actually the little story that goes on between Fasano, the rookie officer, and the sergeant. And a lot of people were asking us why we had to kill Fasano. They were saying they would have kept him alive, but we actually killed him. And they suggested that we should kill the sergeant instead, almost like as a revenge for Fasano. So that sounds like a pretty good sort of contract to set up, so that's what we're going to show here. We're going to actually try and take down the sergeant.
Yeah, basically the Sergeant Meyer, as his name is, turned out he is a pretty good and interesting target within this part of the game. So he was a very natural part of what we call featured contracts, which we have in every section of the game. There's a door here marked at the exit, which is a different one from the story mode. So essentially this means that a section that was simply like an A to B section within the game, where you had to get past all these officers that were looking for 47, now there's a hit. And every other condition of the level is still in place. The officers are still looking for us as Agent 47. But now the added challenge is to take down Sergeant Meyer. Anything we learned from playing through this level in story mode is something we can use in contracts as well. Knowing how the NPCs are kind of positioning themselves, how their patrols are. These are all things that you can use to your advantage.
What is happening here? Fasano! Hey, Fasano!
It's just a few, Sarge!
Can't find him if the lights don't work.
Yeah, I hear you! I hear you!
Oh, what is his freaking problem? Every day he's yelling at me.
The basic premise for a contract is that you take down your mark, you escape the scene, and then you'll get paid. And on top of that, there is a number of bonus conditions that the creator of the contract can set up. And for this particular contract, there is a stipulation that you should be unseen, which makes it quite a lot more difficult to kind of maneuver through this area, especially since our target, the Sergeant Meyer, he is standing in the middle of the room surrounded by his kind of subordinates. So it's a pretty daunting contract to kind of pull off.
One of the other conditions is also that the sergeant needs to be taken out with an elimination, which means we need to get really close to him. And as you said, he's surrounded by a lot of people, so that's something else that makes it quite difficult.
Just get away from the ledge, okay? You could slip and die.
No one's gonna die.
Just
Over here,
keep
right?
your eyes open. Turns the air.
I've been told this guy is highly trained. He's not gonna be waltzing in through any of the doors. We gotta cover the upper areas too.
We're already on it.
That's good. All right, we got the east and west wing covered, but he can still get through here. Do we have enough goddamn men?
Yeah, well, we got the night crew, Sauganash coming. Ha! Your turn.
Yes, my liege.
Hey!
Come on, show yourself.
As here you can see, we have a small window of opportunity where the sergeant was unguarded, which we took advantage of, and trying to get out without being spotted. Here you can see there's lots of attention on on us, but it's still possible to get out. They're probably gonna find his body pretty soon if they didn't do it already, which makes things a little more difficult and delicate, as the patterns of the AI is something that you as a player of course has a lot of opportunities to tamper with, but the moment they go into like hunt mode, or when they know something really bad is happening, the way that they react is not really predictable, in the way that you don't know where they will go, and if they send out search parties after you, it actually gets pretty difficult to predict whatever the AI is up to.
We should earn a pretty big payoff here, and we managed to do it in 47 seconds as well, which is always a nice touch. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a different section of the level that we first showed and create the contract, and then show you how these contracts are actually made.
So one thing that we did with contracts was actually having the creator play the game as he creates the contract, and this kind of play to create mode, as we call it, is something that we did to avoid having you could say a cumbersome editor or kind of a god mode or something. Yeah, as you see here now, I'm creating contract while playing it, and as you can see, it looks very much like the game does in story mode, except that in the corner in the upper right corner, there's what we call a target tracker, and within the world you can see there's this little mark that you can add to NPCs. If you mark an NPC, you're making him a target. If you then kill him, then the game will record which way you killed him, with which weapon and in which disguise, and if you're seen or loud, whatever, and we'll kind of store that within the data. Mr. Dean Fenner here is not a very interesting target, though. He is more kind of like a sad guy. So we'll kind of try to find another target and move further into the Shangri-La here.
Well, talk about pupil dilation. You little farmer boys are way up Shit's Creek. You know that, don't you?
Oh, please, bro, come on, man. I mean, we didn't mean any harm. It's just medicinal.
You got a freaking ecosystem in here. You think something like this would just go unnoticed? Jesus.
And here we can see we're in an area that looks far more interesting. Lots of things going on, lots of characters moving around, and much better way of much better place finding a target.
I guess we should do a search. You know what I mean? A thorough search.
Ah, come on. Is it really necessary? These guys had like 20 grand in each pocket. Why would they feel the need to go prison style?
Hey, that's just procedure. Gotta go by the book, right? So go get your latex gloves.
And we'll select a knife to kill this guy instead of just taking him down with the silver ballers, because we want it to be more up close and personal. And you can also choose, as you can see here, we could choose to end the contract in this window, but it is still not a very big contract. We would like to add a little bit more to it. We see we still have room for 2 more targets, so we'll try to move a little bit further into Shangri-La to find another opportunity.
Back for domestic disturbance, right? And the landlord was complaining that the building smelled like pine trees. I guess we know now why.
So you've picked up the hammer here, and is that for a weapon or a distraction? Or?
Who knows? I mean, often when you create a contract, you kind of be more mindful about how you play through the level, and you might do some things that you wouldn't have thought of yourself, just how to say, on the fly, and finding out what you can use it for. So the hammer here, for instance, we can use it as a distraction to lure this target in to a specific place to kill him.
Hey, anyone seen a combination for the safe? come from, huh? I'll take a look.
Yeah, so now we just need to get out of here. We know I know there's an exit down here by the elevator, and it's heavily guarded by the police.
In a fight, right? He walks to the hospital by himself. Look, it gets better. Guy walks up to the front desk, and the nurse starts screaming. Turns out there's a small axe stuck in his head. No shit.
I could just choose to gun these officers down, but that would also become a part of my contract, and I don't want to do that. I want this to be slightly more challenging.
We're looking for is extremely dangerous.
Alright, so here we can see the elevator down at the far end. Oh, we still don't want to tamper anymore with the AI here. We want to kind of get past this unseen and without them even knowing we were here. Well, it looks like these hippies have a discotheque here, and setting off the disco will also cause a distraction, drawing the police away from the exit. And we can see as we do that, they're now being drawn into the room, and we have a clean getaway to the elevator.
Who cares, man? I love this tune. Hey, you on,
What?
you know,
Oh, yeah, why the hell not, right? They'll call if they need us. What? What are you laughing at? Huh?
nothing. I just love this tune.
So that's the end of the contract, and there's two targets. There's the conditions of how they were killed, which disguise was used, and since this was a pretty, you could say, I played through this contract pretty well. There's a lot of different conditions set on this, so this creates a quite challenging contract, and now I'll see Travis try to play through it.
So the first thing I'm going to do is actually change up my disguise, which should give me a benefit of getting through the contract a little bit quicker. It's also going to mean that I might not get the full payoff, because the conditions that were set meant that I had to use a Agent 47 suit, which of course I now don't have access to.
This is the police.
Oh shit, man! It's the fuzz! We're so busted, man! Oh, fucking pigs!
Bro, dude, calm down. Maybe they just want to chill, you know?
They don't want to chill! No one wants to chill!
Come on,
Flush, you piece of shit toilet!
Oh, man. I say we take him, like Butch Cassidy in the
Well. Talk about pupil dilation. You little farmer boys are way up Schitt's Creek. You know that, don't you?
So you can straight away see the benefit of using the police officer disguise. I can sneak through this area a little bit quicker using my blend in.
Yeah, time is actually also a factor in contracts, but it only starts ticking from the first target is killed.
I guess we should do what's in her. You know what I mean?
You know what's funny? I got a call to this floor.
manager. Gotta go by the book, right? So go get your lazy.
Hey, anyone seen a combination for the safe?
Well, this guy's actually trying to get this safe open. He's asking if there's a combination. He's gone off to see if the other officers know where it is. So I'm going to go over there and grab the combination to the safe, which is saved in this notebook. I'm going to open up the safe and see if I can use what's inside.
You hear that? Find out what it is. Hey, bring back some coffee.
Yeah, I'll go. Hello? Anyone here? Whose radio is this? Yeah, never mind. As we thought, a radio.
So I've just triggered the radio to get the officer back inside, and of course I've armed the explosives in the safe. So I'm kind of setting up here something that's not too difficult to guess, but let's see how it plays out.
Shit, what have we here? Hey guys, get a load of this.
Rather than use the disco, I've managed to use the AI to make him call the other officers away from the door. So I have the clean getaway now, but I still have to take out the target. So again, I'm not going to be using the same weapon, or the same disguise, so I'll lose some points there for not meeting the conditions. But
It does look more spectacular.
It's still going on. Still going on, yeah. I'm moving in.
Alright, so that was a quick look at contracts mode from Hitman Absolution, and we're hoping that when you guys in the community get the hand of this, then it will kind of create magic. We'll see some new stuff popping up in the game that we never kind of imagined from the development team.
yeah, that's definitely what we're looking forward to the most, seeing the sort of crazy and inventive things that you guys can come up with. Thanks for taking the time to watch this whole video all the way through, and we'll see you on November 20th for Hitman Absolution.